think you're absolutely spot in terms of delivering transparency, measurability, and really consistency across the industry. And that is indispensable to make this overall, let's say, transition towards a more sustainable economic model really credible and workable. And a lot of things are happening, but you're right that whether you look at ESG ratings, which are widely dispersed across the different rating agencies, or whether you look at the way that, the whole value chain within the financial sector needs to report on this, the way that there is disclosures are being done by the corporate sector, there's still a lot of variety. The data that can be used, to some extent, regulators are asking for specific details in terms of data when some of these data are not actually available in the market. So there's all kinds of challenges. But let's not forget that, this is a journey where over time you see that disclosures are increasing. You see that regulators are shaping up on the guidance on how we all need to report on this. You see that clients, asset owners are requiring more transparency, more consistency, and more diligent reporting. So yes, it's a journey, but I would certainly disagree with the assumption that despite some of the worries and some of the examples around the greenwashing theme, that the overall mission is really in peril. I think actually these are some of the growing pains of this journey, but your overall mission is only strengthening, and it overall will certainly create a significant and help to create a significant adaptation and transition in the real economy. I have no doubt of that.
Let me ask you another question then. As we look at Europe grappling with energy price caps, which are ultimately going to disguise and obscure price as an incentive for abatement and action around conservation, does it rip up the EU's own sustainable finance roadmap? And do you think it will reduce investor flow into transition-related stocks?
Well, I think it's a very, very good question, actually. And let's, to some extent, maybe be glad that actually the price caps have not been agreed upon in the latest talks in Brussels, right? So we'll see how that develops. The talk is certainly there. But I think the underlying question is there that indeed, I would argue the most successful transition is if you use the system, if you use the market system, the capitalist system, by setting the right incentives and then have the system adapt and drive the allocation of resources in our economy. So rather than capping prices or in a way disrupting market mechanisms, I would advocate much more of setting clear pricing incentives, and the most explicit thing to do, and where we hopefully get further progress, because there are some schemes in place, is setting a clear and consistent and transparent price globally for carbon. Once you get that in place, a lot of the normal economics will start to work around it and accelerate much more quickly than a top-down enforced cap on pricing, which indeed would disrupt some certain market mechanisms.